Hi friends, welcome to Smash That Small Pad. Are you my helper? Yeah? Did you help me take that paper apart? Don't crinkle the corners. Not just, you can't chew on the corners. Here, you can have that piece. That piece can be Zelda's. Wait. No, you weren't supposed to eat it. You were supposed to play with it. It was gone so fast, Mommy couldn't do anything. No more. We've had our paper quota for today. You can only eat so much paper in one day. You're there. I don't know if this is going to be the actual video or the behind the scenes. Zelda is trying to chew on plastic now, so we got some crinkles. I've mentioned that I should make a video of the cats while I'm crafting because they are funny. They're funny, but you don't always see them because they're off camera. So I was filming what she was doing while I was taking this pad apart. And the funny thing was, I wasn't gonna make you a video because I thought, you've seen me take a pad apart, it's boring. Miss Zelda, time for you to go find something else to do. But I think she was on camera, and so I'll save that for you and put that in the video. I am down to almost nothing on small pads. I mean, it is ridiculous. I've been looking around and trying to figure it out. In a members video this weekend, I thought I had smashed this one. It was a partial and it was just sitting around, but I missed these sheets that I don't love. This one was sitting on the counter. I don't love this one either. I have some basic gray 6x6s. I have a couple of 8x8s, like gorgeous winter one that Kathy sent me and a beach one. I don't necessarily want to smash those, but I might do a really elegant project with them and then it would be smashed, but I don't want to make cards with them. I want to participate, so I'm going to do this one, even though I wasn't excited about it. I think I've made a travel journal with this before, and if you look carefully at it, it's a lot of travel images. But what I decided is I need some sympathy cards. I could use some masculine birthday cards. It leans a little bit towards vintage ephemera, but I have a lot of vintage ephemera from pads like this because that's one way I've been smashing them. Secret, I don't make vintage journals. I literally need to make about probably 3 to 5 vintage looking journals to use up that ephemera. So we do not want to make this all into ephemera. So what I did was I tore it apart. These are really neutral papers, and I have trains, globes. I kind of like these tags and tickets, but I don't need them. Cameras, and too formal of a pattern. So I don't really want to see those patterns in my cards. I'm going to use these, and I could use really elegant stamps, maybe like something like this, and stamp on here, and then get my sentiment. We have options. I don't know if I'll remember to use that specific stamp, but so these will be my neutrals. And then for my patterned papers, I think I could do a train background and then a happy birthday for a gender neutral for a little kid. Trains, planes. I don't love the, what are we talking, hot air balloons probably, but the back is this and it's really busy. And when I get into these vintage too busy, you can cut these apart. But what happens is if you say like, oh, I absolutely want the plain one because I'm going to make a card, then you may have messed up your piece of paper. So the way to do it, if you want to use those, is cut one good sized piece out. You have to go horizontal, and then you have these to work with. So maybe, but I don't think I really need those because I'm not going to play up these travel themes. I didn't see any bikes. Oh, that's weird. Yeah, there's a bike one. So I'm not going to get into those. I'm going to try and keep it really simple. This one, I like the map better than the flowery one. I could do this one. This would be a good paper for a layer on a sympathy card. It's elegant, a bit understated. So that's an idea too. So when you look at your papers, think about what you will use and what you want to make. I'm not going to use a bunch of cards that say have a great trip or bon voyage, right? I'm just not. This one I might use, but it's a little dark. It's not that cute. And same for the map, right? I could if we were making vintage ephemera, but I think I'll go this way. These two, I like both sides. I'm a little torn. So this one, sympathy card, birthday card, just an understated kind of vintage floral. And this side's fun, right? Trendy, kind of ephemera, make something cute. This one, it is vintage writing, love it. And then the other side is a map. The trendy ones, like the vintage writing and the postcardy mappy things, they're not as on target for cards necessarily, because when you take it and you chop it up, it just doesn't show how cool it is. So maybe I'll cheat and make a little bit of vintage ephemera when we get here. They wouldn't make, I mean, I would use this for a journaling card, but the average person might be a little stumped that you could just write on this and it would show fine. And then this one, probably not so much. So this could be pockets. This could be journaling card. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But we are going to smash this. I am actually at the point where I need some more 6x6s. It's a hard life, you guys. Now I get to start shopping. And if you want to send me 6x6s in Happy Mail, go for it. I am opening up and allowing for Happy Mail. You know my post office box is down in the description. Don't be sending me a bunch of pink stuff because I'm not gonna do it. But I have seen, I've been resisting, right? And I've been trying. I've seen some really cute single-sided 6x6s, which make amazing ephemera. I've seen some really cute pet stuff. Maybe after the first of the year, I'll start buying again. If you see something that you want to see on this channel, I am lifting the ban on Happy Mail, or I'm opening a small spot for it. Last month's process video for Small Pad was really choppy because I did it in 10-minute increments before work, and we're pretty much in the same thing. An alarm's about to go off. I need to get moving. So I think I'm just going to tell you how I'm going to work through this and then pick you up once it starts to get interesting. Does that make sense? I'm not going to have you watch me chop all the papers. And because these are vintage and pretty mellow, I'm not going to do like a bunch of wild patterns and that kind of thing. And I need to be able to use flexible sentiments to make a train card work. So I'm not going to get out a bunch of sketch sets. I'm going to cut my defaults. If you're a new card maker, I'm going to cut 5 1/4 by 4. And then I'm going to cut a layer for the front, a 1/4 inch smaller. That's 5 by 3 3/4. We're going to layer these up. Last month, I tried 3-inch strips. I didn't love those, but I might like them on something like the trains. I could do a 3-inch strip of the trains and then put it on like a neutral paper. I don't know. I might try some of those again. That was nice because I had way less scraps, but I might need the scraps for die cutting here. So I'll bring you back when it starts to get interesting and we're decorating the cards. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to use black or craft for these cards. For a quick smash, I like to use the same paper. I just don't think craft is going to work very well because look how green this is. Like it's not a great combo. So maybe we need to go black. I don't know that I want black on my sympathy cards. I don't know, I might. So we'll see. It's just a tricky color palette, right? If I had this color cardstock, I would work it in more. The navy isn't really navy. It's like navy gray. I mean, this is night and navy. It's the most perfect navy, and it's too blue. This is too green. So I'm not sure. See, I just don't really think that I have much that works with it. That's another thing about these vintage pads. Sometimes it's like working with basic gray where it's a little tricky as far as the color palette. I'll be back when it gets interesting. Sorry, I forgot to turn the heat down, so the fan might have been kind of loud for you. This is what it evolved into. I did a bunch of die cutting, some of it just based on the size of the scraps and what I had to work with. Have a few things I don't have figured out. I've got a whole pile right here of cards that need to be assembled, and the cats have been sleeping, but now they're both awake. I did make more vintage ephemera because I couldn't resist it. They were too cute. And I don't know what I'm going to do with this paper. I don't really like it. I could make more vintage ephemera and this would be cute, but I don't know. I might use some of it to go with these. Haven't decided. I think what I need to do is start gluing these together because I have a bunch of layered die cuts and it'll be a hot mess if they get into it. So before I go out to dinner, let's see if we can get some progress there. For this kind of detailed work, I get my chair so I can sit down. I usually have to fight someone for it. I have tweezers and art glitter glue. I find it to be the most forgiving. You may be just as happy with Barely Art or whatever's available in your area. I'm gonna start with this one. We are having a storm here, so I'm a little worried we're gonna lose power, and I've got a clingy dog because he doesn't like thunder. He's just not really into that. He's not terrified or anything. I mean, not like Wilson or Pooh, but he would much rather we just went and sat on the couch and had lap time. And we can do that later. It's, I think it's early afternoon, so I still have lots of time before I leave for dinner, but I'm not sure about the power at this point. It's flickered a couple times. I don't know if it's flickering at Noni's or just my house. Okay, so tiny, tiny amounts of glue. And then I'm gonna flip it over. And I build my die cut layers, if you have layered die cuts, just like I build a cluster where I figure it all out and then I put it on the card. So if I mess up, oh, I probably should have eaten. I've probably had too much coffee and not enough food. Do you do that sometimes? Is that like a crafter, normal person puttering around the house thing? Or do I just do it? Okay, now, if you get a little bit of glue outside of the edge, maybe you use a pokey tool. I also like this pick-me-up stick because I find the plastic is a little gentler, but this is a tiny die, so it sometimes needs the pokey. I wish you could let me know if I'm not staying in camera, but you just can't. So you can see, I don't trace the letters. Remember, die cuts can't spell. So just get the external edges, the things that you think will catch. I'm going across the most outside edge. So not necessarily the bottom of every letter, because if the Y swoops underneath it, I don't care that much. And I'm not using much glue because too much glue will not be your friend. My art glitter glue is probably semi-clogged, which is pretty perfect for this project. And I'm not that picky, but I do like them to be straight. I mean, oops. Oh, there's something on my tweezers. It might just be paint, but it may be catching. I can see color in there. If you're using art glitter glue, or if you're using Barely gives you even a little more time. You have a little bit of time when it sets down to move it. Not a lot. And that's one of the reasons that I like art glitter glue better. Barely Art gives you more time, which you'd think would be a good thing, but I used art glitter glue for a long time before Barely came out, and I have a tendency to slide it across things because I mess up. Now, you know I love to use my cutter, so we'll take this, put your adhesive on your smaller piece, especially if you're learning. And then I am going to put a snippet across the end because I don't know exactly where the end is going to be. And trains and polka dots. I mean, why not? Then we'll just clean this off. Sometimes I combine things because they're sitting out or because they're in the paper pad that I wouldn't normally have combined. But that doesn't mean it's bad. It kind of pushes you to try something, doesn't it? This side almost seems like I didn't get it on straight. Or maybe it's just my imagination. I'm gonna trim it just a tiny bit. And it wouldn't have mattered if I put the die cuts on before or after. All these little bits I'm just gonna set off to the side for now, but we might have to have a trash cleanup intermission. Okay, I'm gonna try not to go birthday happy, but if you've been around a while, you've seen me do things like that. Normally, if it wasn't trains, I think I would go like this, but I think the long skinny row of trains is fun. So I'm just gonna put it on a row of trains and glue it down. Now on this one, I don't have to be as careful about getting it all over, but it's pretty thick and it's trying to curl. So I'm gonna make sure I get the ends really well so that it has to lay down. And then we'll put my spice bottle on it, spice jar. It's very important to the process. That's super crooked, isn't it? There we go, that's better. And it can move a little, like the birthday, I can wag it. And if you use foam, like I did recently in a video, it's even more slippery and manageable. You would think it's stiff and straight and it wouldn't mess up, but you can sort of bend or correct it. Especially the longer the word, like congratulations. Congratulations can get away from you. Okay, now a little tricky to see because we have the swoopy Y's. So let's focus on the top. You doing okay, buddy? I know, it's not a great day for Zeusy. Not a great day for Zeusy? Yeah. Mr. Crafting and Relaxing isn't home, so I'm the only human. Oh, that's really crooked, isn't it? You guys knew, didn't you? Well, let's pretend that's how I wanted it. Now, I could round the edges and stuff, but I'm going to leave it because I see this as being a masculine card. I don't know about polka dots. That might have been a stretch, but I think I can work it. Now, these were card bases. Well, they were paper that Andrea gave me, super thick, some kind of mixed media maybe, like very thick. And she didn't want it, and I thought, well, I'll take it and I'll use it up as card bases. Now, it is a little off. I trimmed it one way, but I didn't realize it was off both directions. So pretty much every one of my card bases needs to be trimmed a bit. But that's okay. Even if you buy paper, it can be the wrong size. So free paper. Okay, there's our card for that one. I'm not sure I love it. If I was trying to dress this card up a bit, I would love a train stamp or a train die or something to play up that theme a little more. If I had a little tiny train stamp, I might put one on the inside. I probably don't. Probably the world won't end. These are gonna be pretty mellow cards because the colors of them are pretty mellow. Now on this one, I'm trying to decide this one or this one. In full disclosure, this polka dot paper isn't exactly the same colors. I think the polka dots. So what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll put some adhesive on this. And put it right up to that edge and see if we can get it a nice straight line. And then if I had put it straight, there we go, 4 3/4, and then it should come down on this side. There we go. And you can use scissors or your paper cutter. It has adhesive on it, so I didn't want to lose that in the paper cutter. Yeah, the boy is having a hard time. He is circling around me. You okay, buddy? You gonna lay down, go back to sleep? Okay, I should have paid a little more attention because I barely left myself room for heartfelt sympathy. This is a die that I consider a little bit fiddly. I don't know if you've heard me talk about fiddly dies before, but they're not my favorite. But I have trouble finding sympathy dies that I like. I have one right here that says sympathy in a not very sympathetic font. And it came with some stamps, I think. So somewhere there's a with. I had a die that said with sympathy. It was weird. I don't even know what I was supposed to do with it. I don't know if I was supposed to cut it out of 2 colors and then reassemble them. It wasn't really a layering die. And the with wasn't a font that I liked. So I put it in the go away. I think sometimes you just have to say, every time I use this die, I'm not very happy about it, so it has to go. Here, I'm going right across the top of Heartfelt, barely, like I'm not even lowering my bottle all the way. I am just getting the glue to drag onto the paper. So that's one way to get even less if you're trying to be dainty with your glue. I can tell you right now, I have too much on the top of Heartfelt because that is such a tiny space, and I went along it. So I'm gonna touch it with my finger and then just, I don't know, put that in my pocket. And I'm gonna come in here and I'm gonna try and get, and again, this is wobbly, right? Remember how I talked to you about how you can stretch things, and I'm gonna try and get as close as I can. I bent the T. This is a hot mess. Hot mess. Okay, now straightening out. I don't want the S to touch, so I'm gonna go that way, and then I'm gonna lay this down. And I'm not pushing super hard. I am just touching it down so it will stop moving around. Then I'm gonna use my fingernail across the top of this. You don't have a lot of time to clean up your glue, so you can't just like dilly-dally. This is not the time to refill your coffee. If your family comes in and starts talking to you, they just gotta wait a minute. Even Zeusy. Okay, it looks pretty good. And remember, don't freak out because it'll look better when it dries. So even if you can see a little bit of glue and you can't quite get it, it will look better when it dries. But be sure to move it around and check it out a little bit. Okay, I think I'm okay with that. Now, let's go ahead and glue this onto its background because that will help kind of flatten out that die that's trying to get wobbly. You know, wet paper, lots of glue in there. I don't know how much glue you need. I don't know if you need glue in the middle. Probably not, unless you have a bunch of buttons and what have you on there. And then I may or may not have cut all the pieces of paper the same size as I went through the stacks. So just check each one and be sure you actually know what size it is before you lay it down and glue it on there. I've made that mistake where I thought it was supposed to have a tiny border and then it wasn't. Bottom looks a little fatter. We can fix that, can't we? Just take a hair off the bottom. There's a lot of stuff in my paper cutter. Like every once in a while we just need to stop and clean out the paper cutter and clean off the tweezers. Okay, there we go. There's a good one. I'm not gonna glue them onto card bases with you. Like, and when I say glue, I mean my ATG. I'm not gonna put them all on the brown paper, especially since the brown needs to be trimmed. You'll see that later. And I mean, you've seen me do that. Okay, let's do this one. This one might be a little easier. It might not, it might trick us. I want this to fit on here beautifully. And the birthday is tighter. So we'll probably do birthday first, and then we can arrange happy around it to look nice however. If you have any paper hairs, tweakers, die cutting issues, whatever you call them, now's the time to fix them. It's easier typically than after you glue it down, especially because then they have glue on them. So they're gonna stick to your paper, not fall away. She speaks from experience of just slapping things together and thinking, oh, I'll fix that later. We're going to, this is some kind of blue-gray pattern. It's not terrible, but I really needed the solids to layer it up. And I went with masculine birthday and sympathy because it looked like that's what I needed in my stash. These could have also been, you could have like added lace or something to this collection and made it super feminine and gone with feminine birthday cards, or maybe some coffee or tea dyed flowers. I have bright white ones. I should dye them. Some things I don't think of. I did coffee dye some fabric the other day and it looks great, and it was not my idea. My brilliant members said to do it, and they were right. And come to think of it, Not exactly sure where that fabric is, but I think I was waiting on an Amazon package. You know, I wanted to use the Amazon paper mailer, and my clean outs these days may have been too aggressive. May have been. That looks pretty good. I feel like there might be some places, you know, might help. Also, put your glasses on. Put your glasses on. There you go. Okay, this looks messed up. And I need to be careful because I'm not sure if it's glue or if it's, yeah, it's me messing up, I think, the edge of the paper. This paper, I think, has white in it, like in the core. So you just want to be really careful with your tools and what you're doing, because what you think you're picking off glue could get worse real quick. Now this has a little hair in the A. I don't like that. Okay, now we have a little more flexibility with the happy. Do we? She says she thought we would. I was using the smallest possible oval that I could because I was using scraps. These were cut out of this. So going a size larger was not an option. I don't want the two Y's to line up, but I'm having trouble with if I put the two P's over the T, then I'm good. This, again, really dainty, right? I have tried over the years putting my paper on double-sided tape or whatever, double-sided, you know, sticky sheets. And sometimes that is even less fun because sometimes it gets tangled and messy coming out of the die. So it just depends. And the number one thing is, if you're gonna do sentiments like this, layer them all up and just take your time. Just plan on sitting down in your chair, making sure you have good light. Again, put your glasses on if you have them. And there we go. It looks a little messy right there above the T, but I think it's just wet glue and it'll dry and I'll be okay with it. It's a masculine birthday card. Do you think they're gonna be like, oh my gosh, that glue got away from her? I'm not saying all males don't look at their cards, but I'm saying my dad doesn't look at his cards. And I don't think Mr. Crafting and Relaxing would look at his cards at all, except he understands the rules of this household. And so he does. And he even keeps them sitting around. Okay, what do you think? And you can wet glue this based on how I'm doing in my finger ability. I'm gonna use adhesive, but you can use adhesive, you can wet glue. Sometimes I like the adhesive because it's easier to get close to the edges. And I get a little obsessive, like if it doesn't lay down tight. So sometimes I do both like that. Now the planes are at a little bit of an angle. So perhaps the happy birthday. Nope, it looks a little weird. I don't love that. Okay, I think that's it. Also, if you do wet glue, you can adjust it a tiny bit. But you can also, ATG's a little forgiving if you don't push it all the way down. Here we go. This one's gonna be a little fiddly too. And if you are not enjoying this, be sure to tell me. I thought it would be better. Last month, even editing the process video was exhausting because I stopped and started so many times. And I didn't even show you, like there was another hour that at this point I haven't edited, and I really have no plans to, because I didn't group parts that I felt were interesting. And so then, like, I don't know, it was a lot of editing. But I'm not gonna be one of those like start to finish, you know, demo and pre-planned and all that. That's just not my game. Oops, I almost put it on the circle. You tell me if you're enjoying these dies and watching this, or if you're like, nah, don't bother editing that next time and recording it. These dies, this happy birthday right here, I have a thinking of you, and I think I even have a happy anniversary. I really enjoy these dies. They are great for, this isn't actually their jam. They're great for like gorgeous floral cards, or kids' birthday cards where you have like big stars and a cake and a bunch of stuff. They don't take up the whole card. And they die cut pretty nicely, and I found them to be pretty affordable. So if you're curious about these dyes, you let me know and I'll help you find the brand. I believe it's maybe a UK one. I get them at Whimsy's in Beaverton, Oregon. She has carried quite a few of them over the years, and I just see a new word and go, oh, I need that one. And the Thinking of You is, 3 words, and it's a lot, but they're just so darn cute, and they're big enough. Maybe as I age, I'll say no, but big enough that I don't find them too fiddly. You'll know. I mean, I'll throw out dyes that I think are fiddly. Not in the trash, but I'll give them to people who will actually fiddle. And I think they're pretty cute fonts. I am picky about my dyes. If they're too much work, or I don't like the font, or they don't cut well, they're out. Sometimes they're out just because, I already have too many. I think I even got rid of a Joy dye. I mean, it's been a serious declutter here. Okay, look at that. Though I am starting to think it might be time to bring stuff back. Oh, that's cute. And I just love the double layer to get the contrast. I'm all about contrast. Now, what I did on this circle stitched, let me show you where I got it, because that's one of the reasons I don't glue these things together, and I want you to see. So I did that trick. If you watch Christy Marcotte, she does that all the time. I couldn't get that stitched die out of one of these. It wasn't big enough. And I really wanted to use it. I thought it would be fun. And so I did. It's like train tracks. I don't know. I thought it might be fun. So you can always cut them out of the things, and then don't worry about it. Sometimes I'll put a circle in there of a scrap that I don't like, or just, trashy paper I have in my room. And sometimes I just don't even. I think it kind of depends on who my audience is and how long I think the card's going to sit around. Like on this one, I'm going to take it to the craft fair, and it might sit around. It might, sit in their stash for a long time. So I'll probably fill it in. If I was giving it to a man tomorrow, I wouldn't. Now, I wish I had gone just a tiny bit lower with the birthday, but it is what it is. I couldn't have gone too much lower. Now on this, obviously I'm only going to put adhesive in the edges, because if I forget, then it's sticky and it's loitering, and I need to put it on a background so it won't be troublesome. I forgot to tell you, I was going through my fall stuff, and I found a super cute card that I had made during the fall cards, and I must have stashed it from the girls. It wasn't on its card base yet or anything, and I don't know if you ever got to see it, but I found it long after. Yeah, I'm going to put that off to the side. I found it long after I did the process video or filmed the small pad stash video. Okay, now sometimes I do another layer too for more contrast. I don't really have more layers, I don't think. I mean, I could maybe find a larger stitched circle. And also I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I don't know. I got a lot of layers of paper already. If some grandma wants to mail a gift card to her grandson, I don't want it to be out of control. I think that one's pretty cute. I like that one. Some of them, it's not necessarily the paper but it's the layout. Or it's the contrast or something. I don't know what it is. So different die. I don't think you've seen this one. This one I like too, but the bee, it's a lot of parts, right? And it gets a little tricky to line up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, I haven't used it in a while. I'm going to put the largest part down, but I have to be careful that I don't put it down in a way that I don't have room for day. Otherwise, the piece, it becomes trash at this point. I don't know. We could look at it and see. But so be sure if you're doing something like this where it's a partial word that you're thinking about, this has to fit next to it. And I need a B on the other side. I can go up a little bit. I don't know how to center it. I don't know if the H and the P are the middle. And it is wobbly. Is that the word? So I'm going to take this piece of paper that I cut and I know is straight, and I'm going to put it against the H, and then I'm going to push these down, and line them up on there. That's what I was trying to do before on the happy birthday with the train paper, but it had those swoopties, you know, swoopties. So then it was hard. Now here I'm going to try and do the same thing off of this P. Which is a little tricky because the A isn't down either. Oops, don't push too hard because you might just tear the Y right off. Okay, there we go. It's pouring again. Pick it up and look at it because different angles. You don't have a camera mount in your way probably, but still different angles make a difference. Then I'm going to put the day on there. Whew, I cut it close with the Y. See what I'm talking about? So I like this die. I think it's very cute, but you know, you do have to make it work, put your parts together. And I'm like 99% sure this one doesn't have a background somewhere. But now that I say that, I feel like, oh, maybe it does. When they have background dies, it kind of helps you build them a little better and line them up if there's different parts, because you know you have a nice little outline for it. Let's see if it does. That's funny. Yeah, now that I say that, I think it does, because I don't remember having this much troubles before. Okay, I have glue on my fingernail, so definitely get your glue off your fingernail if you're going to keep doing it. Let's see. Someone's jumping off the counters. That's always lovely. Oh, here we go. Here's the outline die for that. No wonder. It makes it easier. It does. Because you know you have to stay within that border. But this is a great way to show you too that you can do different things, right? Just because you have an outline die doesn't mean you have to use it. Maybe you wanted to use a bigger piece of paper to block out more of the pattern and tone things down. Maybe you just wanted to make, what's wrong, Miss Zelda? A bunch of cards and you didn't want them all to be the same? You didn't want every nephew to get a similar card? Or maybe you just got tired and forgot it had a background. I think I just haven't used it in a long time. I haven't done a lot of die cutting. Today was a lot of die cutting compared to what I've been doing. I have not ruled out purchasing another sidekick. Is that ridiculous? But I just love them. And I like to sit on my couch or in my recliner and die cut. And it's very small and it has that suction cup. I know, it's a little ridiculous. I might be okay with that. Just everybody has their thing. I also like to die cut in bed. In the winter when it's cold, I get in bed and I put my legs in the blankets and it helps ease my back's more comfortable. And then I watch TV and die cut. So yes, sometimes there are scraps of paper in my room on the floor. Not usually in the bed though. There we go. Happy birthday. It kind of had those little hairs, you know. Maybe I didn't get them off of there as well as I should have before I glued it down. This one I didn't cut a hole in the back. Now, I am gluing these together and some of them I haven't cut things out of. So it's possible I'm going to back myself into a corner and go, dang, I wish I hadn't glued that together because, you know, now I want a die cut out of it. Well, the world won't end. I have more paper, and sometimes for me, I just want things to come together. I want to see, oh, that's cute, but it could use a little something. I want to see how it's going to layer up. I want to be done. There's a bunch of Eliza hair on the counter. Can you tell? Okay, that would make it cuter. I'd have to put a layer behind it. Is it that much cuter? Nah, it's not. If I put it just over that, I think this would be wobbly because it's just one layer. If I cut a larger oval, it would probably work. But I don't think this oval was out of a nesting set. You know, I'm a little wild about my ovals. Some of them are semi-nesting, or the other one has like a girly ... pattern or something. perfectly nice cards coming together very simply. I could put enamel dots or something. Sometimes on gender neutral birthday cards, I put some stars as an embellishment. There's adhesive down here. I think it feels like the kind from the pad. I must have missed some. If you want little embellishments, you can do just little dots, stars, you know, resist the urge to put jewels and hearts on if you want them gender neutral. I've done it. I get excited and I go back through with a bunch of cutesy stuff and go, oops. Oh, Mr. Crafting and Relaxing is home. I can hear the garage door going up. You are very lucky that Zeus is not a barker like my Wilson. I do miss my Wilson. Loved him so, but oh my gosh, he would scare the heck out of me. That is it for now. I'm going to glue this card together and I'm going to glue that one. You just watch me do one. You're fine. Then I'm going to do that one. Same idea. Okay, I'm back. I want to show you what I've done and the progress. It is Sunday morning, super early. I don't know, maybe 7, something like that. There's a little bit of light, but Mr. Crafting and Relaxing and Zeus aren't up. I put all these on bases except for these because I need to make some verticals. I prep my card bases and stamp on the back, so I have to, you know, adjust if I have the wrong counts. I had a really nice cream colored one and then I put this card on it upside down. So I used a white one because it had the adhesive and I had to keep moving. These are the ones I showed you before, ephemera. So we have all those ready. Right here I have this paper. These, I want to use this one. I like this one. This one still not speaking to me. I might keep this around to see if I use it in travel or vintage. Maybe I should just put it in there now and maybe later I'll be like, oh, that's a fun surprise because I do have a travel thing and maybe I would like it in there. So I think that's what we'll do with that. This, I like these papers. I found a bunch of solids in my stash. I think some of these, they're different thicknesses. I think some of them came with, close to my heart. Did I get it right this time, Eileen? Kits and pages, and Eileen gave me a bunch of scrumptious stuff, I think, and I went through and I put the solids in my solid when I used the pattern papers. There were a bunch of blue patterns and stuff, so I used those already. I want to use this as a background. We can use this if we need something to stamp on. These are the parts we have left. These are all my scraps. I'm super organized. It's weird. Who am I? And these are, I don't like the other sides really, so they're probably just solids that'll be left over. I put scraps inside all the cards, but I like to have a paper that corresponds. And on craft, I don't want craft. I don't usually just put a solid inside unless it's super cute, not like a vintage thing. Remember the old days? Like, did you do Stampin' Up back in the day when we just stamped an image? And we used to do a lot of tone on tone, or what would it be called? Monochromatic cards. And what I was thinking is, I have made some where I just took some of these stamps. It felt ridiculous, right? I took some of these stamps and some paper and I stamped out cards and they sold like crazy. They really liked them. They enjoyed them. My buyers did at the craft fair. Now, the funny thing is, for me, it's not great because it doesn't help me use up my, there's a little booger on that corner that's bothering me. It doesn't help me use up my papers. It's not my absolute favorite way to do things. Oh, I might have liked a vertical card for this. Well, that ship sailed. We could use this one. Talking and cutting. It's funny because it doesn't use up paper, and that's kind of what I'm trying to do here. I have a stash of a lot of stuff, not 6x6s. Like I said, I'm actually in an area where I don't have any I like. But this paper, I was not excited to use this paper pad, let me tell you. And I am very happy with some of these cards. I think they're really cute. I wasn't feeling it. I mean, Liz, it's really lovely. You just never know. Sometimes you have to dive in. I just stamped them out. They were super ridiculously easy. And then I sold them. I don't sell my cards for $5 each. I just want them to go spread joy, and I'm not going to mess with like a jacket on every one, and I'm not going to ship one card online. You can always buy a batch of cards from me. You can say, hey, can I have a bunch of birthday cards, or can I have a bunch of fall cards or something like that? But I'm not shipping one card. Anyway, so back in the day, we used to make a lot of, like, I'd buy brilliant blue, ink, paper, and then I would stamp happy birthday, and then I would layer it and mat it up. And it was one color. Doesn't seem like it's taking the ink very well. It was one color, and those cards made me happy, and they were easy. I'm going to use black I could easily, one time, depending on the paper or the color, I was using like a rust colored. I don't know if it was the Stampin' Up! Real rust, but it was kind of something like that. I don't have a strong bias, but Stampin' Up! Is where I started, like way back in the day, right? And Brilliant Blue still has my heart. What I'm going to do is a bad idea, so don't learn from me. I'm going to not test this stamp, not break it in, and then I'm going to stamp it right on here. What I do think I'm going to do is grab one of these close to my heart. My alarm went off. Maybe it's later than I think, and I'm supposed to be getting in the shower to go to breakfast. I'm going to put this under it. You don't need a specific item. Sometimes a stack of paper, a bit of foam. Do not use bubble wrap. Like, it has to be something with a fairly flat finish. But if it gets a little bit of give, it helps some of these older rubber stamps. Now, it's not the end of the world if I don't get this on here straight, because this piece of paper is a little bigger than I'd like it to be. And because we might want to use the scraps, I'm going to go kind of down in the corner. And once it's down, you can't change your mind, right? If any part of it touches, if you're like new at rubber stamping, and I'm not going to rock it, but I am going to hold it really well. It's an old stamp. I didn't prep it. I haven't warmed it up and gotten it all gunky. So I'm just going to let it sit there for a minute, and I'm going to push straight down. Okay. And then we're going to lift up and see. Oh, yeah. These are lovely images, aren't they? I got these. I wasn't familiar with this brand, Stampscapes, and it's from '93. I got these from Crafty Bean, Tina. If you're into old wood stamps, wood block stamps, and you don't know Tina, oh my gosh. I love these like scenery kind of ones, and I get pretty obsessed with Personal Stamp Exchange. But like, look at these. I think I got these all from Tina. She had a lot one time, and she's a bargain hunter. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry for a minute. And while it's drying, we're going to stamp. I'm going to forget which one's which and what my plan is here, huh? Oh, see, I already forgot. This one's going to go with this one, I think. And I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a minute, in case you don't know that trick. This way. Oops, we already cut the paper. That's right. Okay, so it's going to go like this, and then we'll figure it out. And then I was thinking of you, or I love this stamp and font, keeping you in thoughts and prayers. I checked my stash, and I don't have any like gender neutral keeping you in thoughts and prayers. And I'm not sure I have any thinking of you. Maybe I only think of the women. I don't know. This worked amazing, by the way. So if you have any close to my heart stamp sets, just use that for any of your tricky wood block stamps. I should probably use that for my PSX quilt stamp that gives me trouble. Something about love and sleeping under quilts. It's in the drawer. It's dirty, so it's not on the wall. I can't see it. Noni also looked up a thing about like reconditioning your stamp with, I want to say gelatin. That is not right, just so you know. Don't bother putting gelatin on your stamps. The problem is the thing that she looked up and sent me, I don't have that product. I'm not exactly sure. Like, you probably go on Amazon or a hardware store and wander around for days and find it. That's one thing that's nice about Amazon. Oops, I forgot to put the thing under it. Okay, this one I know I have used more recently, and it's smaller. So I feel pretty good about it. I think it's going to work out anyway. But anyway, use something like that. There's also a Memory Keepers pink pad that I may or may not still have that was for like piercing or punching or eyelets or something. That works really well too. Okay, there we go. It's a little light right there, but that might just be how the barn looks. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, now we'll assume this one's ready to play with. Now here's the deal. I have two pieces of this. If you cut your papers the same direction, which like, I don't know what happened, but if you're going the same direction, you can use your scraps. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece of paper, we're gonna put it like this. We're gonna cut off the glue gunky part because that will leave a lumpy section. So we don't want lumps. We don't care at all about the hole punches, but we don't want lumps. We don't have to trim off the whole hole punch. I used to always trim my paper down to 6x6 when I started a small pad smash, I have learned now that that is a waste of time and also paper. So I just wait till I get down to the end, and then sometimes I use pieces like this, and this gave me extra space. So you see how it goes together. I usually put washi. I'm saying usually because that might not work for us today, over that crack so that the seam looks fine. I don't know if I have a vintage washi that's gonna go well on the mood of the card. Like if you're, oh, this is all lumpy on the back. So we have to cut this off because I tore it, see? So either we have to pick each one of those off. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Or we just cut it off. So now we have a piece. I need to think about what I want to do. Do I want to try and make my stripe work? Also, the stripe is a tiny bit crooked on the paper, in case you were wondering. Do I want to make my stripe work? Or do I want to find a scrap that I could lay over the whole thing, in which case I'm going to have to put a layer under this. I'm going to be kind of annoyed. Or what's my other plan? Stripes are not the most forgiving to do this with either, by the way. I would not recommend doing what I'm doing. If we don't like it, we'll throw it out. What's the worst that could happen? We had scraps. I'm trying to straighten up the stripes, which you can't possibly see on camera. So now I don't have the piece of paper square, so I'm trying to fix that. So when you go to put these two together, you do want to make sure that they're fairly square, because otherwise you kind of get messed up. So you just take two of them. You say, how wide do I need them? I want them 4 or 4 1/8, not any bigger. Okay, we're right in a reasonable zone. So this one looks pretty good. Could I get this? Oh my gosh, that might even work. That is ridiculous. I don't think I've seen that before. Let me think about that for a minute. So if we're gonna do that, let's just push this one over. Let's cut this off at 4, okay? And let's do 5 1/4. I've been making them a little bit oversized. Hang on. I want to tape these two together so that when I cut it, they're lined up the way they will be and nothing is sliding. Usually I use the same washi tape that I have on the front, or I've already taped them together or something, because I have that tape handy. Now remember, one of these isn't square, so it's giving me a bit of an attitude. I don't know which one it is. I cut the one on the left all the way around, didn't I? It seems like it's that one. Well, at some point we just gotta say it. Let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? Oops, be sure the circle's in the middle, not at the edges. And then I want to put those two tiny stripes together. Put your blade down on your cutter. This cutter has a really stiff blade, so it won't fall, but still, it's a bad idea. And if you have one of these cutters and you just bump your hand onto it, you'll have to go get a Band-Aid. It's really annoying because it will like nick you a little. Okay, so all I'm doing is just holding it together so that we can cut the end off and it'll be straight. 5 1/4. This end looks good. I don't need to recut that. Done. Oh my gosh, you guys let me do that. Okay, no problem, because it's washi, so it's forgiving. So we'll just peel this off gently. Whoop. And hopefully it's as square and beautiful when I turn it around. This one, oh shoot, I thought it was all tricky. Now this little piece might leave a little booger bubble thing, so take that off. Okay. This edge and this edge. The smaller piece has a different amount of stripe on one side than the other, and so I know which piece I want to touch. There we go. Probably taped it together a lot better the first time, because I usually do. Yep. Also, I probably used that edge because it was square and not giving me troubles, because this one is giving me troubles. Now, it doesn't line up. The end doesn't line up now. There we go. Let's make sure this one does. I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's 5 1/4, right? It just needs to look good. Now, here we go. We're going to put this on top of it. That looks pretty good. You can, when you cut out your stamped image, you could use a die if you have like a giant oval or something that you really want to use, which, I mean, we all know I probably do. You can mat it a whole bunch if you want. Like right here, I could layer it with black. I want to put it on something. It seems a little plain. It needs a little something. So we have this black right here, which by the way is a little bent up. Cats probably walked on it. That happens here. I lost a happy. You know when they were all laid out? I had to recut a happy. Could be me. I am messy. It could also be under the bed in my bedroom. You never know. I just want a tiny mat, so I cut it at 4 1/4, and I use the big cutter that's off to the right. I thought you'd be okay without seeing a one paper cut. Sometimes when I'm editing, I just edit like, I just get bored, and I'm like, yeah, you don't need to see every cut, or like if someone's barking or screaming, or let's make sure. Sometimes when I get like sidetracked, I end up with a card that's not quite the right. This was supposed to be longer. I'm gonna cut another one. I thought that felt weird. I was like, something's off here. There we go. Now we just have a nice dark mat. We have a little bit of a bent corner, but not like bad. No one's gonna notice but me, and then I'll get it glued down. We have this, and what I might do, just to make it less noticeable, is put that seam down there. There we go. It's like a little lower, and I like it. Now, this is dark paper, so I'll have to be really careful when I glue this down. The crack will show through it if I'm not careful. We have this tiny thinking of you that you can't read yet. You're just gonna have to trust me. And it can go down here. In fact, I'm probably gonna cut another at least 1/8 of an inch off of the bottom of that to give us a little more room to work with so it doesn't look crowded. So this is why I try and keep my scraps handy and laid out. And this is part of the reason I don't chop everything up and make every card all the way, because I've done that before, and then I don't have any scraps for die cutting to make things all matchy-matchy, and I kind of do like things matchy-matchy. Especially, I'm really into monochromatic and like more mellow stuff. I do not need all the colors of the rainbow. I just don't. And I might use 2 for like a week. Okay, this die, I am going to edit out the gluing and preparation of, because it takes a while. Okay, so that's the thinking of you. It's that same brand of dies. Like, I don't care. I don't promote products. I don't think I have a link to them on my Amazon shop, because I'm not really into like maintaining and selling. I just like to play. But if you have questions about those, I'll help you find them, because, you know, I'm pretty picky and I do like those dies. Okay, I'm gonna put this together because I'm worried if I leave this, it'll end up like the happy, and we don't know where that is. So I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna put this card together and probably prep this one a little more. I was gonna stamp for that one, so we'll see what happens. I assembled those 2 scrappy cards, or the scrappy card. It gave me some troubles. I taped the back with washi and got it laid down, and then tidied up. So we still have these, of course. And then I think just this. And these were some parts that I had cut. So this is going to be a card. This is what happens to me on the scrappy at the very end. This is how I decide what to combine. And I have my thinking of you letters here. I'm not going to have you watch me glue that together. So that's going to be a card. And then I think we're done. I don't know. I might die cut some more stuff out of these. I might have some cute little ephemera. About an hour ago, or maybe it was yesterday, I had an idea to take one of these, cut it into a 3-inch strip, and make one of those cute little pocket things. So I might do that. You'll just have to watch the final video, which you already saw by the time you see this. So you'll know. I don't know. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you're taking great care of yourselves and taking time for crafting and relaxing. Bye-bye.